Hello, friends, starseed friends, family, whoever is stumbling upon this content. Today, I am talking about surrender. We hear it a lot like, to get what you want, you need to surrender. And so much of life is about releasing control as opposed to grasping. So it's a difference in like being conditioned by what I refer to as the fear matrix, being conditioned to micromanage every aspect of your life and just fit into the boxes versus being like, whoa, I'm so much greater than that. I'm so much greater than that I don't even know, right? It's like the most powerful statement that you can even offer to the cosmos from the finite mind is, I don't know. And isn't that exciting? As opposed to, that's scary. So let's just dive in. Like, what is surrender? Let's explore it a little bit. Do a little just intuitive, conscious channeling. So surrendering is not giving up. It's handing over. It's not being like, I quit. Well, it can be, right? Sometimes we hit this wall and we're like, F this, I'm done, I quit. I can't do this anymore. And then our whole lives change. That's the beginning of some of my most profound moments. But the truth is, we don't have to like hit the wall or do the whole eat, pray, love thing and end up on the bathroom floor to experience the magic of surrender. Surrender is acknowledging that the finite mind, okay, so the logical mind, the physically oriented mind, the aspect of the mind that the ego finds itself rooted in, the I, me. Surrender is acknowledging that that part of the mind has a limited power. Its ability to perceive our lives from this like bird's eye ascended view is limited. It's not going to be able to perceive the potency of miracles that we can experience in our lives by surrendering. Surrendering is a necessary part of the balance, and we live in an imbalance, yeah, a world of imbalance right now. Our society perpetuates imbalance. Therefore, our energy systems are in balance, our minds are in balance, our emotional body out of balance. Surrendering is the release to the hold, right? So there's sort of like in yoga, and I'm not an expert in yoga philosophy by any means. Sure, I've studied it, but again, there's the yang, right? The more fiery, masculine, structured aspect, and then the yin, the release. So that balance, we need both. Surrender is the exhale to the inhale. We need both. Surrender is the expansion aspect to the contraction. How would we know one without the other? That's like the whole point of this density, this physical experience. We live in a world of contrast, and we wanted that. We came here for that. In my channeling work with Akashic Records and specifically star seeds and channeling these different ET groups and beings, like, I don't have words for the excitement of how they experience contrast, because before the incarnation, it's like the soul, the consciousness, doesn't see limitation. It doesn't experience the illusion of limitation. And yes, of course, there's I mean, if you want to look at it as limitation, right? A lot of people consider the concept of linear time limitation, but really isn't that just the gift of patience? Isn't that the gift of surrender? So linear time is actually offering us an opportunity to surrender, especially in the realm of manifestation, right? It's like this, so often we're pushing our manifestations. We're like, I want this now, I want this now. And it's one thing to like believe in the power of conjuring, but that has to be balanced with letting go. It has to be balanced by surrender. So the gift of gestation, right? The gift of a seed being planted and then being nurtured and blooming as it will is the gift of this time and space. So surrender. It is the feminine energy to the masculine energy. It is the receiving to the giving. It is the internal to the external. Oh, see? So again, it's not just a letting go. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna go release control of this and it's just gonna go be splattered in chaos. You're allowing the divine mechanism of which created the cosmos to be the one in the main control, to be in the driver's seat. You can be in the passenger seat and be like, oh yeah, like, go left maybe, and it's like, actually no, a shortcut. Or like, actually I know what you really need. Because a lot of times what we want ain't what we need. And that's just reality. Anyway, so I found that there is a back and forth between letting go and then the concept of self kind of starting then to scramble to identify itself. And again, that's the ego. So it's like in my own work and like, oh, I see a lot of clients as well. It's like you'll experience that intense letting go, but then you'll notice like, but who am I? So I ask you, who are you without the stories? And perhaps use that as a journal prompt and explore that. Like, what stories am I attaching to? What goals maybe started off beneficial, but now there's so much pressure on myself to like achieve this goal and manifest this goal and like push this timeline. What am I closing myself off to? Who are you without your story? The stories, the intensity of like this pressure. And even me as someone who like, I really dig into this work, but I still like, man, I spiral under pressure sometimes. And I've said it before in a previous video, previous podcast, like that quote that's like, what is it? Oh, it's referring to like rocks or something. Under pressure creates diamonds. Like, get under pressure, you'll be a diamond. What the F? Like, we're not rocks, we're human beings, we're flesh and blood, we're nervous system. Like, pressure, extreme pressure isn't gonna make you into a diamond. You're gonna get sick and not feel good and be miserable. Okay. So how do we surrender? How? We know that it's good for us. We kind of get the concept at this point, but how? Well, we surrender by loosening the grip. That impulse to control life. Invite in that sacred pause of like, where is that impulse coming from? If you were getting the impulse to control life, that's not coming from love, right? That's not what, is often referred to as aligned action. If you're getting that impulse to control life and take an action out of fear, right? So notice that. Where are you taking action out of fear? when we do that, when we grip like that, we narrow the channels of receiving. We limit ourselves. And we're limitless beings. We're not, oh, I'm just a human. No, you're like a hybrid DNA humanoid star being here now to usher in the frequencies of an ascended Earth timeline. Therefore, at the very least, when you surrender, your innate soul vibration pings into your auric field, right? That is alignment. Your innate soul frequency is high as... Am I allowed to curse on YouTube? F-word. So, again, how do we loosen the grip? To loosen the grip, we face the aspect of ourselves gripping in fear, right? We're not going to push away, be like, get in the corner. Get in the corner. How dare you be afraid? I'm trying to surrender here. No, I'm sure you've tried it. We've all done it. We all do it probably all day in some way. But we're not going to put the aspect of yourself in timeout. We're going to bring them in and say, hey, I love you. That's all it is. There is a precious aspect of yourself really afraid of the unknown. Really afraid of the loss that comes with surrendering, because you lose control. And there are times when losing that control is a relief. And as I said earlier, it's like surrender is going to get you. And it might not be so gentle if you keep pushing. I've been there. I've had my eat, pray, love moment on the bathroom floor, sick AF, horrible relationship, lost my job, broke, debt, miserable. And I remember saying to the ethers, why am I here? Why am I here? There was also a lot of grief too. My friend had passed away, my dog, my best friend, within a couple months, I was done. I said, why am I here? Why am I here? And I meant literally on the floor, what does this mean? Because if I'm physically incapable of getting off the floor, something metaphysically is trying to be told to me. That's what I believe. Everything's a message. And I heard the word surrender. You gotta let go. I said, okay. And then I did. I was in this weird state of complete release for a few weeks. I don't know if that's enlightenment or what. It was trippy. And I let go, and my entire life changed. And I didn't push for shit. So surrender is going to get you. It's a lot nicer if we make it a practice. I'm stubborn as hell. Maybe you can relate. So that was my big lesson. That was 3.5 years ago. So I do my best now to really notice. Yeah. So you lose control in surrender. You lose that attachment to some definitive outcome that you've convinced yourself you'll get if you know the plan and you know every step, and then you'll get the outcome and then you'll be safe, right? So a lot of the fear and the gripping is coming from this inner feeling of I am not safe if I don't know what's going on. So to approach this aspect of yourself, I like to see them as an inner child or young adult. It could be a composite of self. Approaching the self with so much love. Just ask it the questions. What do you need? How are you feeling? What are you really afraid of? This self-inquiry is how we unstick and untangle a lot of like what we feel as an energetic block. Or when we're like, I'm trying to let go and I can't. It needs to be untangled. We're in this density, we're in this human body, we have these brains. It's just what we're working with. Our bodies take everything so literally. We're not just going to ascend out of our bodies like that. We've got to untangle some of it. We've got to put in a little bit of work. It doesn't have to be your whole life all the time. You don't have to constantly be untangling and healing. That's a part of the surrender piece. Kick back. But the nervous system, if it's not used to kicking back, if it's so used to being in fight or flight mode, that's what's most comfortable. So when we are grasping for this external safety in all of these things around us, in a reality that does not guarantee permanence. Physical reality is impermanent. We're never going to get that like permanent safety we're looking for. But we can create as much stability as possible, but that's not going to manifest from a place of scrambling and fear. It's going to start by feeling safe in the body, feeling safe enough to surrender into the unknown, feeling safe to receive what life has to give you beyond the mind. We live in a reality of death and rebirth. It's a cycle. And surrender is beautiful because it's part death, but it's the gateway to rebirth. It's the gateway to life. We live in a reality of unknown mystery. We cannot know everything. And that is why you came here. You came here to create within the void, to create within the mystery, to create out of the contrast, to be a loving being, a self-sovereign being, a trusting being in a world of fear that's telling you if you don't have it all under control and you don't have all the facts and you don't know everything, then you're fucked. I might have to beep this out. I don't know. Your inner state is one of surrender, receiving, and synchronicity. It is your natural state of being. Now, as I say this, I just want to reassure you, it's not your fault that this is hard. It's not your fault that this is hard. We incarnated into a glitched, manipulated matrix. Okay? It was once a love matrix, got glitched with fear. Now we're back to glitch it back to love. Maybe something in my teeth. I don't care. All we really know is that love exists. The now exists. All else is created out of karma and the emotional body, and we just project. So one of the big questions I get is does surrender mean I'm just going to quit my job and go to Bali and go with it? Maybe for some people, a small amount of people, maybe. Does surrender mean ignoring your bills and racking up debt? Not quite. No, don't do that. We got to get it straight, like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And providing stability for yourself, your family in this reality, it's a real concern. It's a thing. So that needs to happen. We are action oriented in nature, the actions of going to work, even if you don't love your job right now, are necessary to create income to live. That we live in these structures, okay? This is actually an action of honoring all aspects of yourself. If I were to right now just be like, I'm selling everything and I'm going, I actually would be ignoring the part of me that wants stability, that wants just like a little home with my dogs and my tea and my partner. Like a lot of that kind of free spirited, I'm just gonna up and go stuff is actually like trauma response. Like it's not always intuition. So whatever. I had this meme on my Instagram that was like Snoop Dogg cruising down the river with a blunt. It was like, this is your inner being, ha ha. That's your inner being. This aspect of your inner being that we could certainly tap into a lot more. The human being deserves aspects of support and consistency, right? So it's not total non-action. It's not the abandonment of physical responsibility and reality. It's a balance. It's not denying aspects of this life. We live in a physical reality where right now, most of us need money to feed ourselves and shelter ourselves. So this is no denial of that. We live in this reality that does require a level of action to create. I always think of it as like the concept of like a baby, like a child being made in all animals that reproduce, but like obviously I'm human, so I'm like more familiar with human. So like the aligned action, knock on wood, like there's obviously circumstances where it's not aligned, but like I don't need to go into that. Like the action, the impulse of action is intercourse. And then there's alchemy. And within that action, then there's Penelope. Then there's creation. So, and then in the womb, there's the gestation period, right? So there's that linear time piece. So action. So like, okay, so the baby, we're not quantum leaping the baby out of the womb, are we? So that's like another issue I have with like all this shit is like quantum, this idea of like just quantum leaping everywhere all the time. There is linear time in this reality. Even if it's an illusion, we're still subject to some of these collective agreements, right? Gravity. I don't know, I'm not a physicist, I'm not that smart, but you get what I'm saying. The gestation period. That's the surrender period. Do you know what I'm saying? And look at how long that period is, huh? Before the birth. It's the longest part. So the idea of surrender is not using all of your precious creative energy to control every step of the way and every outcome because you're cheating yourself. You're cutting yourself off from receiving higher vibrational experiences because you're not allowing the high frequency of your innate soul to be a larger part of your vibrational set point. Your vibrational set point is all of the energy of anxiety and control and fear. So within this acceptance of all of these pieces, how can you give the logical mind more ease? What aspects of control are you able to hand over? Begin by noticing where your mental energy goes. Can you shift into noticing where you can appreciate your life and the stability that you are creating? It's a huge important step. I mean, that's just like the number one thing. Appreciate your now, and your now will change. That is a law of energetic reality and physicality, Taking the action to appreciate your now aspects that are working, even if you feel stuck, that is an action of surrendering, because you're like, I'm not going to use my mental energy to like try to change all of this. Do I have to fix it? I have to fix it. You're saying like, okay, I'm pivoting my focus to what I can appreciate. I appreciate this crystal. It's beautiful blue. Oh wow, when I hold it up to the window, it's many layers of blue. That is actually so beautiful. And speaking of blue, I really like water. I have fresh water to drink out of my faucet. What a freaking miracle. What else is a miracle? The moon. What? It moves the tides. That's insane. You gotta like start to just rampage on what is in front of you and what you see and how does that feel in your body. And if there's resistance to that, look at that. Even in releasing the tiniest bit of resistance, we make room for more of what we really are. You are not your resistance, your love, your miracle, your magic. Every breath is an opportunity, and that is what you are. So, I encourage you to resist. Oh, just kidding. I encourage you to release resistance wherever you can by dropping into small moments of appreciation. Bye.